up, guys? Welcome out to another episode of According to Kaz and Queen. And as always, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And these are conversations that happen between a husband and a wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys from this exact spot where we're sitting at right here. Sometimes to make you laugh, sometimes to make you think, but it's always to open up the lines of communication between husbands and wives, men and women, friends and lovers. You know the spiel by now. We're on all streaming services. All right, make sure you're checking us out on Google Podcasts. We're on Amazon Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're also on Black with No Chaser Radio. You know where we at. All right, download the BWNC Radio app. All right, shouts out to the fine folks over at Black with No Chaser Radio. And we are on all social media platforms. You know you can check us out on Facebook. You know you can check us out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that good stuff. And of course, if you want to see our bright, shiny faces, all you got to do is check us out on YouTube. All right, shouts out to all of the new subscribers that, you know, came through in the last week. About 3 or 4 of you guys joined us here on the podcast, and we appreciate it. Of course, you go to youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. That's youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. All right, we're gonna keep bringing you the good talk. And as always, this is brought to you by the Kundi Collective. www.kundicollective.com. That's www.kundicollective.com. Of course, we got that According to Kaz and Queen merch for you. All you got to do is go to the website. All right, you go to that website, you can get you some of the official According to Kaz and Queen merch. Walk around, impress your friends, make people jealous of you because you got this really dope merch and all of the other great stuff that is on that website as well. And as always, if you got something that you want us to talk about, hit us up on the email, kazandqueen@gmail.com. It's kazandqueen@gmail.com. If you got a relationship question, a marriage question, hit us up. We'll try to answer it to the best of our ability, or not answer it to the best of our ability, whichever one of those is, you know, more appropriate. All right. So at any rate, it's a lot of stuff that's going on this past week. You got a couple of things that, you know, crossed your eye as well. First of all, I'd like to say that we're going to start this broadcast off in mourning. We're going to be in mourning, and for the past, you know, few days, letting it sink in. The rest of this week, we're going to need everyone, or I'm going to need everyone to please, you know, bear with us and, you know, show your respects in my time of grievance for the tribal chief. The tribal chief is lost, and he lost at Wrestlemania, and the tribal chief era is over, unfortunately, and I am in mourning. I am genuinely sad that Roman Reigns is not the champion anymore. I am already annoyed at Cody's title run. It's been, you know, maybe 48 hours since it's happened. I'm already annoyed. I was annoyed immediately with the speech immediately after the win. Cody's a cool guy. I'm pretty sure personally he'd be a great guy to hang out with, but I was speechless watching the tribal chief.
Seems like you're still speechless.
I'm stunned watching the tribal chief take a 3 count. I'm stunned. I never thought that I would see that happen. I never thought I'd see a 3 count.
For those of you out there who have no idea what this man is talking about, he's talking about WrestleMania 40, which just happened over the weekend. And the Universal Champion,
the undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world,
Roman Reigns, also known as the Tribal Chief, has been the reigning champion for over 1,000 days, and that
almost 3 years.
That is nearly unheard of in the wrestling business
in this modern day.
Modern day,
you know, incidentally, he was still number 4 on the list.
Who's before him?
Jesus Christ.
Some old people.
Hulk Hogan.
Well, Hulk Hogan was like the whole face of everything, so him being the champion ain't really the same thing.
Hulk Hogan's number 3. Bob Backlund is number 2. And Bruno Sammartino is number one. Incidentally, for people who are wrestling fans, even if you're not, just to get an idea of in the modern era how this has not happened. Roman Reigns has been a champion for close to 3 years. That hasn't happened in a long time. The number one slot is held by Bruno Sammartino, who was champion for 8 years.
That's crazy.
And you think about that in the modern times, they would have to protect it. He'd have to have police protection out on the streets, being the champ for 8 years, because people would be tired of him. And I'm pretty sure at some point, people were going to get tired of the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, having the belt. And I do understand that he had to lose at some point. I'm just not really with the Cody Rhodes reign. And I'm a Dusty Rhodes fan, and I like Cody coming back and, you know, making his own way, you know, proving himself, you know, showing his worth and coming back. It's a great story. I'm glad he got to finish it finally and we got it over with, but we will never see another reign like Roman Reigns again in the modern era. And hopefully they'll get this belt off of Cody. Now that he's won it, they'll get it off of him eventually.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that this is a real quick thing.
It's not going to be quick, but hopefully it's not 3 years.
A couple of months would be sufficient for me. I don't need to see Cody with the belt. He is just soft. So I like to see some matter of factness, some directness, a little bit of arrogance. Cody is a face, which is a good guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really particularly a good guy person. Like, I like the people who are no holds barred, say whatever, do whatever, bring the ruckus. Those are usually the heels. Those are usually the people that I like. But I can't be the only one, because they switch from time to time. Like, I like Rhea Ripley. Like, I really like Rhea Ripley. I realized this weekend that I might have a white girl crush. But she was bad at first. That's what I liked about her. Now she's become more favorable to the audience. I've seen that happen quite a bit. It happened with Stone Cold. Yeah. I've seen it happen. What be going on there?
It's the modern wrestling fan. I'm going to tell you, you know, I grew up watching wrestling from the age of 11, 12 years old. Again, I told the story on another episode. But, you know, watching Mid-South, watching the Junkyard Dog, Dusty Rhodes, Dick Murdoch, those people like way back in the day. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Butch Reed, Ted DiBiase. I was intently set on cheering for the baby faces. Wrestling is a classic good versus evil type of thing, or at least it used to be. So I would never ever cheer for the heels. There were people back in the day that cheered for the heels and liked the heels. The Four Horsemen, I remember, you know, were particularly one of the first, you know, heel factions that people cheered because they were really cool and people cheered them. But I believe that good should win versus evil. The good guy should always win. And I believe that up until I became an adult and got into the real world, and I realized that the good guy did not always win. And I realized that sometimes the person that they say is the bad guy is not really the bad guy. Mm-hmm. You figured it out.
I've always known that, but you know, I realized that a lot of other people came to that revelation with Killmonger and Black Panther. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I, of course, was down with Killmonger, just period, off strength. Not because of Michael B. Jordan, but because I understood what he was doing and what he was saying, and it made perfect sense to me, you know. So
it made perfect sense.
So I get that, but I've always kind of walked that line. I always like the ones who are Stone Coldish, and what I mean by that is he's not good or bad. He's anti-establishment, but he's his own person in his own lane. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like, you know. Before the final boss, The Rock was like that for a minute too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like that. The Rock being bad is just highly entertaining. The final boss is just, he can do, say, be whatever he wants to. There are no limitations whatsoever. That I like, you know. For me though, Roman was just real statuesque. He carried himself like he was a champion, like he was the tribal chief. He was the head of the table, and he carried himself that way. And that's what I am afraid that won't be able to be done again. That's the thing that Roman had that goes unmatched. that energy, that swag that he brought. Cody certainly doesn't have it, but I think we had already reached the time where people were tired of being Roman being because they actually wanted Cody for this match. That wasn't even supposed to happen.
Wasn't supposed to happen originally.
The people wanted that, so they were tired of Roman.
I mean, you know, Cody Rhodes,
or they wanted Cody, one or the other.
Is what they call the white meat babyface. He's like John Cena, Hulk Hogan type of babyface.
John Cena still had a little edge to him.
Yeah, a little bit, but
a little bit more than Cody.
You know, the kids, Make-A-Wish, that was his whole thing. And people got tired of that after a while, so he was starting to get booed. And I predict that the same thing will be happening to Cody at some point, because it happened to him in AEW and the other wrestling organization that he was in. They began to boo him over there because he kept coming with the same super good guy shtick, and people just don't like that in 2024, which is crazy that people don't like the good guy to be a super good guy.
It's unbelievable. This dude was at the end hugging cameraman and going over there to Michael Cole and kissing him. Michael Cole was crying. I cried, y'all. I cried a little bit.
While we're at it, you did.
It started off, my tears were because I was deeply affected by Roman getting beat, period. Like the end of the era was a problem for me. But after Cody got into the ring and all the people came in, and it just seemed so like, which is exactly what they wanted people to feel.
Oh, absolutely.
It seemed so like he had finished his story. You know, like an award ceremony. When people get awards, that always makes me cry too, because people always accomplish what they dream for, their goal or whatever.
He got to fulfill his dad's wish. His dad had, was supposedly had won the belt in Madison Square Garden. It was taken from him, and, it was his life's work to go back and avenge how his dad was treated when he got to WWE, which was WWF at the time, by Vince McMahon. So I get it. That's cool. I just didn't want him to beat Roman Reigns. Anybody else beating Roman Reigns except for Cody Rhodes. I was cool with Cody beating Seth. I was cool with him beating CM Punk. I was cool with him beating anybody.
Yeah.
Take the belt off of Roman and let Cody beat whoever that person is.
Yeah.
And then I'd be happy for him. But, Roman Reigns' reign was so dominant and magnificent that it was just terrible to see it happen. We'll see how it goes,
Somebody on my timeline said he'll be getting booed by Backlash.
That's pretty ambitious, because that's coming up. That's the next pay-per-view. But I give him a Survivor Series.
Which is how far away?
That's in November. Survivor Series.
I don't think it's going to take that long. I really think that people only wanted Cody because of the whole finish the story thing, and I think people were tired of Roman, because Roman had gotten to the point to where he was not even coming. Like, we didn't even see him. He wasn't even coming to the shows. I think people have a thing about, I know I do, wanting to see the champion defend that title.
I think it makes it special when you don't show up every
True,
week.
But Roman had gotten to the point where it was egregious.
I mean, he was taking some liberties. True. He was taking some liberties. But
like, you could be watching and never see him.
Yeah, I get it. And we know that Roman is going to be transferring into another aspect of life. This is all to get him into Hollywood, and the same thing.
Triple H say he's going to have a storyline that's going to blow our minds.
I mean, the storyline
Paul Levesque said
it's just going to be coming back around when he turns face, and he's going to eventually turn face, which is what they originally wanted for Roman Reigns, and he was getting booed. They were forcing.
I don't want to see him be nobody's face.
He's gonna be a face, but he's not gonna be a white meat face. He's gonna be
a talk shit face.
Yeah, he's gonna be a talk shit face, because the match that was supposed to happen is still going to happen. They're going to do The Rock versus Roman. That's going to happen, but there doesn't have to be a belt involved in that. That's going to be for being the head of the family
at that time.
So that's going to come up. So we got to figure out how to get there. The Rock has to go shoot a movie. He has to do all of those things. And we know that had Black Adam not bombed, and if the XFL had actually turned a profit, if he hadn't had these two...
And the writer's strike.
If he hadn't had these two crushing defeats we would not even be seeing Dwayne Johnson right now in the WWE. He's a crafty businessman. He is. He gave himself a belt at the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God. He gave himself a belt. I told him, I was like, he don't even need a belt. He just made one. Like he made his own belt.
He made a belt.
I said, watch, he gonna come out with that belt tomorrow night.
He did.
And he did.
It is the most pretentious thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
But it fits the final boss. It's very, very fitting for what he's trying to display of himself right now.
It's a belt that means nothing. It's the equivalent.
Says who? He got the belt, so it means something. And Muhammad Ali's wife gave it to him. So there's legitimacy there.
People's championship.
He's been calling himself the people's champ for many, many years. He got a belt. Can't nobody take it from him. Can't nobody change the fact that he's the people's champ. So it's audacious for sure, but he's The Rock.
It is audacious indeed. But at any rate, WrestleMania was a really good show. Night 1 and night 2 did live up to most of the expectations.
Night 1 was way better.
Night 1 was great. We got to see Jade, got to see Bianca, got to see Naomi. You know, Black Girls Rock, Black Girl Power. It was fantastic.
They got them a sign. Did y'all peep that?
They did. They got them a little sign. I don't know if they're going to turn into a faction. Jade Cargill is a star, a bona fide star. She's going to go places in this business. I'm a fan.
I love her finishing move.
Right off the bat.
It's
the finishing
really
move is dope. And you know, in your words of Roman Reigns, also Jade Cargill is a specimen.
Yeah, she's definitely. But so is Bianca. Did you see Bianca's abs?
Abs.
My God, I don't think she's always had those. Not when I first started watching.
I think she may have worked on them and got them, but you know, she's been an athlete all her life, so
it wasn't hard for her to get them.
She's had a sprinter's body, track body the whole entire time. So, you know, I was, you know, talking to the guys in our wrestling group, and you know, we were laughing at, you know, when they're standing side by side. No one would have ever thought that, as fine as Naomi is, no one would have ever thought that she would be the least finest in a picture.
But let me say this. I think there is some intention behind that, because it is very clear to me that Bianca is supposed to be the lead. She's the lead. She's the and I only say that because Jade is new, and like Jade is like coming in. So I think she's like a mentor type thing. If Naomi was to, have you noticed, everybody else was showing midriff and skin and all that. Naomi did not do that. I think they intentionally took the emphasis off of her body, because her body is banging. So I think
Naomi's body's banging.
They don't want us to look at her body because it'll take away from everybody looking at Jade.
I don't know.
Because she ain't, by any fashion, less fine than the rest of them.
She is not, and I think the second, I forget which night that was. Anyway, she had on some leather pants. I think that was Friday night when they came out. She had on some leather pants, and I mean, you know, the dunk is still there. But because Jade is new, the attention is going to go.
And that's what they want. Her. They want the attention to go to her. And Bianca ain't going for them not putting attention on her. That's just going to happen.
Well, she's going to get it right now.
So I think that was intentional.
But, you know, good deal for WrestleMania. Again, we watched it in the Franklin household, and we'll be seeing what happens with WrestleMania. But something else that happened before we get to your thing, you got to talk about this, because, you know, I consider you to be a hip-hop wife. You've been immersed in the business for a while, and you're a fan. Jermaine Cole came out a few hours ago, about a day or so ago, on stage at the last show of the Dreamville tour, the concert tour that, you know, carries the name of his label, and he apologized to one Kendrick Lamar for the retort, the response, diss record that he made in response to what Kendrick said on the Future and Metro Boomin album. And the social medias were in an uproar with people who were disappointed in the apology. Of course, there were some who were like, this is great, this is what we need in the world, conflict resolution. And then there were other people who were more connected to the music who did not understand why that man would get on stage and apologize in such a fashion. I likened it to, you know, yet another L that light-skinned dudes are taking in the world. It was an extremely light-skinned thing to do. But for you as a fan and the wife of an MC, what were your thoughts on J. Cole apologizing for his retorts?
My first thought is he didn't apologize. He acknowledged that he was outside of himself when he made the song. He did not apologize.
He said he regretted it.
He acknowledged that was not him, and it did not feel good, and he didn't like that he did that. I didn't hear him apologize. He didn't say, "I'm sorry, Kendrick Lamar, for coming at your throat." Did he say that? And I missed it.
He said, I want to say to dude, my bad. I'm going to take this one on the chin. I'm going to stick my chin out, and, whatever you want to do, I just got to take it at this point.
Well, I didn't hear that part. But okay, let's say he did apologize. I thought it was phenomenal, actually. I thought that, but I looked at it from not the stance of a hip-hop wife or a fan of hip-hop. I looked at it as a spiritual being walking in light. And I understand that sometimes the world makes us go outside of ourselves and react the way, especially when you got people in your ear telling you that you can eat them, you can do it, you got it, you can't let this man talk to you like this. That's hard to fight, especially when you know you can actually cook him. You know that, or at least you think that fully. So when you hear that, after a couple of days, his spirit started telling him, "This is not who you are. This is not what we do. This is not how we operate. Don't let people bring you down to this level. You have risen above this continuously. You don't have to do this." And he was convicted. And what I love about it was that most of us are convicted daily and don't acknowledge the conviction and just operate in it. So I appreciate the fact that he acknowledged it. He made atonement for it. And I guess he apologized for it. That is grown man spirit stuff. Yeah. And most people do not operate that way, especially in the music business. And I applaud him for being able to do that. So as a hip hop wife, I would probably be like, I wouldn't say what's wrong with you. I wouldn't have that much of a opinion about it, but I might have been like, did you think you lost? Did you think you won? Like, I dive off into it like that. But as a spiritual being who is walking in light, bravo, sir. Bravo. I hope you can be a leader to more people, because so many things get done every day by people who are just listening to yada yada in their ear and putting themselves to the side to give people what they want. And that is ridiculous, self-sabotaging behavior.
I mean, I've seen, a lot of responses. I saw Fish Scales from Nappy Roots, who, is the homie. And, he made a post about, people are out here mad because two rappers will not go at each other's throats. Like, we are gluttons for conflict. We are gluttons for negativity. We want it. We try to we fiend for it. We cultivate it. We try to create it at wherever we possibly can. And people say, well, it's rap. All we wanted y'all to do is rap back and forth. Well, see, the thing is, this ain't 85. This ain't 88. This ain't 92. This isn't, Kool Moe Dee and LL Cool J. Even with you guys saying that this is rap and that's all we wanted was some bars spit back and forth, I'm not really confident in the world that exists right now. I'm not really confident that it wouldn't have turned into something. I'm not really confident. Kendrick Lamar is from LA. He's from Compton. Okay? So he's got homies out in LA. I'm sure that J. Cole has some riders wherever it is that he's from. Just imagine this going back and forth to a point, and it's never the two people that are involved. It's always somebody who's a hanger-on. Just imagine somebody from LA, and we know the culture that exists in LA and the gang culture that exists out there. Just imagine somebody running around that's a part of Kendrick Lamar's crew running into somebody from J. Cole's crew, and they exchange words, and then some ancillary person who's a hanger-on
We
or a
saw
crew
this
member.
happen with Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah, I mean,
We've
but
seen
it
this already
actually,
happen.
Tupac and Biggie are actually not here. The two protagonists, the protagonist and the antagonist, however you want to look at it, they're not here. Just
But
imagine.
the East Coast and West Coast beef, they didn't create that beef. The people, the fans created that
Fans
beef.
created the beef.
The Monica Brandy thing, they didn't create that beef.
Exactly.
The fans created that beef. So whether they have respect for each other and they just spitting bars and they just doing it in the name of passion and rap, that don't mean the fans can dissect it that way and
Exactly.
digest it like that.
Exactly. And I'm not confident in this day and age because of everybody's predilection to violence and being gluttons for negativity and gluttons for conflict. I'm not sure that J. Cole and Kendrick could have traded bars back and forth for another couple of months without there being some type of altercation. Because if you're going to go back and forth with the bars, every time you got to go to another level.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go from here to here. You got to go from here to here. It's got to be harder and harder and harder every time. We saw it with Nas and Jay-Z. When Nas came out with Ether, then Jay-Z came out with Super Ugly, which, you know, he admits he regrets. But, you know, in Super Ugly, he was talking about having sex with Nas's baby mama on the back seat. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, was uncouth and he regretted doing it, but he had to because Nas came so hard with Ether and everybody was like, that's it. It's over with. That's what Jay-Z felt he had to come with. So he had to go for the jugular. So in a beef, in a battle, that's what you're going to do. That's what's going to happen. So how do you know where it's going to end? So as an MC, you know, I'm like, you know, there is, you know, we give no quarter at all whatsoever. We going in and we going in until this thing is over with. What the fuck is this? I'm sorry. What is this apology? I get it. But as you said, as a father, as a husband, as someone who, you know, is in his 50s, that, you know, probably doesn't have as many years ahead as I have behind me right now at this point, I am bravo for the accountability, bravo for the maturity, bravo for the evolution, bravo for recognizing when something is not in your wheelhouse, recognizing that you are out of pocket, recognizing
that misaligned. That was not his lane.
Yes, that wasn't his lane. That wasn't his thing. He recognized that it wasn't his thing. He could have easily listened to everybody on the internet and kept going in and kept going in and kept going in. He was like, no, this is disturbing my peace. He said, I couldn't sleep for 2 nights thinking about this. So he said, I'm going to take the song down, which I commend. It's just not his thing. Yeah. And the battling thing and the back and forth thing just isn't some people's thing. Some people just don't like it.
Kendrick Lamar's thing.
I mean, well, you know, I think that's the culture that he came up in. He comes from LA. They have a real, you know, they're aggressive. The MCs out there are just as aggressive as they are in New York, or you know, any place else. But you know, especially from the culture that exists on the West Coast, I think that was just in them to be able to do that. You know, and especially, you know, somebody that's ambitious and wants to be on the top, and you consider yourself one of the big 3. You know, he took a stab at, you know, going at everybody to try to get that throne. That's what you do. The spirit of competition is there in hip hop. We love it, but we've gotten to the point now where we don't know how things are going to end.
It don't just stay in hip hop.
It don't just stay in hip hop. Just imagine if Pac had gotten in the studio when he was recording Hit 'Em Up, and he was like, you know what? I'm out of pocket for this. This is too far. This is too much.
He wasn't out of pocket, though.
I mean,
that was very much his character.
You know, people have said that, you know, the whole death row thing is what caused Pac to act like that. I don't know if the death row Tupac was the real Tupac.
Tupac was a warrior. He was a fighter. He wouldn't go back down from nobody's fights. And whether it was on bars or anywhere else, he was a warrior. He was put here to be a fighter, which is why I say that was in his character. J. Cole is not that.
No, he's not. I don't think any of these guys are, especially Drake, who hasn't responded to anyone at all in this.
Drake is somewhere with Sexy Red, which is the weirdest thing in the world. What in the hell is that about?
Drake attaches himself to what's hot to keep himself, you know, relevant. I gotta tell you, and you know, I put the post up. I mean, you know, I like Sexy Red. I think she's being genuine. I think she's being herself, and I can't be mad at it at all. I think Glorilla is being herself. Scarlett, these are some female MCs that I watch, and I watch their content. People are really, it's crazy. Glorilla did the interview with Shannon Sharp. I don't know if you saw it or not. And she was talking about how she did not sleep on a real mattress for a number of years, and she was sharing a room, and she slept on the air mattress for a number of years and had patches in the mattresses and that kind of thing. And people came under that post and were just really mean and out of pocket. And I just wonder, and I think we talked about this, how, when people see somebody giving their story, an inspirational story, and it's a story of positivity, the internet just had provided people this platform for them to come on and just be negative. People coming under the post saying, well, mattresses are just $50. They could have got a mattress. I think this is cap. I think they were mismanaging the money, or wasn't her daddy this, or wasn't her daddy that, or, I call cap on sleeping on the air mattress and not knowing that other people had mattresses and blah, blah, blah. Like, y'all don't know people's stories. And, it's just really odd that you would come on a post and be negative on something that's supposed to be inspirational. Period.
No, I think the thing with Glorilla is, as long as she was not getting nationwide commercial interest and success, she was okay. But now she's getting some real significant looks. So the haters gonna hate. They just come with the territory.
That's great.
I was looking at something going on between her and JT. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, you wasn't fooling with this girl. You didn't care nothing about her at all till this interview happened, till Meg Thee Stallion hopped on a song with her. Now that she's legitimate, now she's a problem. She ugly, she this, she that. Like, y'all coming at her for all these things that she's always been, but now she's getting attention from everybody, even people outside of hip-hop. And now she's suddenly not legitimate.
And then, people are talking about, why does she sound like that? And,
I love the way she sounds.
She's from Memphis, man. That's what people from Memphis, that's what everybody from Memphis sounds like. And somebody was under the thread because they was talking about her voice. And somebody said, if you're from Memphis and you get under this thread and lie and say you don't sound like that, you lying, because you do sound like that. If you from Memphis, you sound exactly like that. You might not hear it, but if you from Memphis, you sound like that. And everybody that I have talked to that is from Memphis sounds like that. Maybe not to that level of inflection. It's just like the people from New Orleans. You talk to some people from New Orleans, you can hear a little bit of the inflection in there. And then there's some people that's like over the top with it.
There are some words that New Orleans say that all of them say the same way. Even if they don't have baby. Even if they don't have the hard, thick accent, some of those words are going to give it away. You'll know immediately. It's the same thing with New York.
Yeah.
We don't have that, though. Mississippi, we don't have a...
I mean, we have a country twang, but I don't think, we just have a southern dialect. I don't think
we could be from anywhere in the South. Anywhere in the South.
But Memphis is very distinct. You can't get past it, and that's what Glorilla sounds like. But I think you're right. I think, once people reach a certain level of celebrity, you're going to have people to say those things. It's just really sad that people are just that miserable to where...
Because that's what it is.
I mean, her story is a great story. I mean, literally still right now, if you can look at your watch, I mean, it hasn't even been 24 months yet. 21 months ago, she was working at... I forget where she was working at, Popeyes, I think it was. She was working fast food. And 21 months later, she's on Club Shay Shay, and she's all over the world. Like, your life can change in an instant, and I love...
Their real issue is, why her? Why not me?
Yeah, why not me?
That's the real issue. And I pray that she is able to and get somebody up under her wing that can teach her how to avoid even seeing some of these comments and definitely not responding to them. And, kind of reminding her that she is her own goddess, and it doesn't matter what other people think, because if you got 10 people standing in front of you and you got 7 of them that's hating, you still got 3 that's on your team, and that's really all you need. Concentrate on those 3. Forget those haters, child, because they gonna be there till you die.
That's it.
And if you ain't doing something for people to hate on, you ain't living right.
That's it. If you ain't got no haters, you're not trying hard enough.
Exactly.
That's it. So what's happening in the world of love and hip hop?
So I came across this story today or a couple of days ago of Mendeecees, who is married to Yandy from Love and Hip Hop New York.
They got some names, man.
Yes, I love Mendeecees.
What is
I
that?
like saying that.
Does it mean something?
It sounds like they just put a couple of words together.
Mendeecees.
I always thought of it as Mercedes with a hint of blackness. I don't know.
Okay.
So Mendeecees spent some time in jail for drugs or something. I can't even remember. It's been a while ago, but he was incarcerated for a while. During that time, Yandy held him down. They lied and said they was married for the show, and then they got married for real. It's just been a lot of stuff, stuff, right? Mendeecees got baby mama drama. Yandy, then all the baby mama drama fell onto Yandy. They some haters because she ended up with him. It's a whole bunch to this story, but anyway, the thing that has hit in the last couple of days is that Mendeecees told Yandy that he's with her now out of commitment and not necessarily love. So that made me think, we got love and life coming up. We always want to pay attention to what's going on with people in relationships and all different types of backgrounds. And this stood out to me because they have been together some years. I don't know the exact count, but it's been a lot of years. And I can imagine that a lot of marriages probably get to the point to where it's just obligation and not necessarily love for those relationships. But what I was thinking was, first I wanted to know your thought process, but I was also thinking, how often do you think people are in relationships, in marriages, after, let's say, 10 years? It might not take that long, but let's just give it 10, 15, who are just there because they made a vow or because of obligation. In Mendeecees' case, he got vows, years, children, plus the fact that she held him down while he was in jail. Boom. You think that's what it is?
I think
because a lot of people still leave.
Because we've talked about that before. That jail time, that person that held you down during that time when you were at your worst, that was coming to visit you and coming to write you and doing all that kind of stuff. Instantly when you get out, you are drawn to that person. And I think that Mendeecees just feels an element of loyalty to Yandy because she held him down while he was incarcerated. And he's now out. I don't know if he's still on probation or whatever the case is, or parole or whatever the case is. I don't know if he still has the restrictions or if he has to go meet with a PO or if he has travel restrictions. I don't know. Because he's been out of jail for maybe 4 or 5 years now.
It's been some time.
Yeah, so, maybe, all of that is done with. But, the more he gets to the end of that supervision and the more he gets to the point where he's able to move around freely, I think his thought process has begun to change. He's not as tethered to Yandy as he had to be previously because he's no longer incarcerated. Now he's out in the world, he's living, he's doing his thing, because he's been on TV, because he's dating Yandy, because he is who he is. I'm pretty sure that there are other women out there that want to try to get their crack at him, including the other baby mamas, and he just might be at the point where he is testing out his options.
Two things, that could have been the case with Remy and Papoose as well. When they had their little thing where she had somebody on the side.
She did come out. Well, that just happened recently. When she got out at first, it was all lovey-dovey and we back together and that thing. And then, as the time progressed, she started getting back out.
But she could have just left them.
She could have.
My point is,
But you can't really.
That's my point. She might have been going through the same exact thing, but I want to tell this quick little story I ever told you. I think I told you about the time when I was dating somebody and they went to jail.
Yes, you did.
Like, tickets.
You told me a couple of stories about this. It wasn't just you; it was somebody, one of your friends too, who had the same thing happen.
And this fella, he had no money. I had to try to dig up the money, and he was about 2 hours away because he was traveling when he got locked up. And I had to find the money, and I found that money like that to get him out of jail. I got somebody to drive me up there to pick him up from jail. And that man came out of there. It was a horrible day, but he came out of there. And the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "Will you marry me?"
Lord have mercy.
That fella was...
that fella was traumatized in there, man. He was in there for some hours. For some hours.
He was in there for, it wasn't even a whole day. He definitely didn't spend the night. He was just in there for a little while. But I guess all the effort that I had to put up, he probably didn't believe I was going to be able to get it done. All the effort I had to put up, the very first words out of his mouth was, "Will you marry me?"
The first ones.
It didn't even, it sounded more authentic when you asked me before you even knew my name.
I meant it. I guess at that time, he meant it too. At that time, I would imagine.
Jail is a thing.
It puts something on you when you go in there.
Some people just ain't made for that thing.
Yes, and if you're not made for it, it's one of the things. You're going to come out and you're going to ask whoever is on the other side of that wall.
She loved me. She got me out of jail.
She got me out of jail. Let's get married. That's crazy, man.
And even then, I was young. I was young, and I didn't have no life under my belt or nothing. I ain't know nothing. But I knew that was not a real proposal. Mm-hmm. I knew in a couple of hours, by the time we got back to Jackson, he was going to be done with that whole thought. I knew that.
The boys gonna be like, oh, wait a minute.
We supposed to be getting married, right?
Whoa,
down.
Whoa.
What had happened was,
hey man, that 2-hour trip probably would have took all that off him by the time he got back in his house.
I didn't even ever mention that again. I hold it against him.
Did you laugh at him? What you do when he asked you?
I think I just was like, oh.
That's even worse. Don't pat me on my hand when I'd have just been locked up.
I was like, oh,
for a couple of hours.
It's okay, baby. It's okay. You good. I knew that was not no real proposal. I didn't really know that this is what happens when people go to jail and he done had a traumatic experience. Like, I didn't understand all that. But I knew there wasn't no way he was really asking me to marry him. That couldn't have been true.
Listen, I think that there is a lot of people that are in relationships and marriages of convenience. There are a lot of people who are still together because of the kids. There are a lot of people that are still together because of financial obligations. I know of a couple of people that I know that were living in the house with their spouse, but they're living separate lives. Staying in the house with the spouse because the spouse has the house and the mortgage and those kind of things, and it's financially feasible for them to still be there, and they're living separate lives. That's unfortunate in this day and age, but capitalism makes it so.
I don't think nothing wrong with that, because they have decided what works best for them, and if they can come to the right arrangement where they can be respectful of each other and live their life separately under the same roof without being what society says they need to be, they figure out what works for them. I'm all for that. What I don't get is people who stay married because of image, because it's going to hurt them, or because people are not going to understand, or because they have a certain image that they're portraying. That right there is crazy. Like,
I think that happens every day, especially with these reality show folks. We know that this is the case.
Absolutely.
If your livelihood depends upon you being married to this person, and you being on a particular show depends on you being married to this person, or for instance, we've seen these couples that are, social media stars. I've seen a whole bunch of these couples stay together because they got their YouTube followers and they got their TikTok followers for them being a couple and them being together, and then they try to stick around because if they separate, it's gonna mess up their money, and seen it a whole lot of times.
If that's the case, and your marriage goes from love to business, and you recognize together that it is going to benefit our entire family for us to stay here in this place for right now, that's sort of kind of different than I can't get a divorce because the people in my church don't have an issue with it, or we can't separate because people gonna think that our marriage didn't last, and I don't want them to win. Mm-hmm. Somebody said it wasn't gonna work, and I don't want. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like them two different things. I think that people need to figure out what works for them, and if you can get from love to business because you have built an empire together, if you can go from love to business respectfully without taking anything away from the other person or making them feel less than their best selves. Mm-hmm.
Do what works for you, ultimately.
Ain't my thing, but do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I won't say I'm a sucker for love, but I believe in love. I believe in the concept of love. I believe in being married to somebody that you love. I don't understand this concept. I mean, I understand it in a lot of times. I don't understand this concept that people are like, marry somebody because you're going to be financially stable, or, get with somebody, whatever the case is. I think you should be in love with the person that you're married to. And I don't mean grow to love them. I think they're cool and I'm glad to be around them and they cool people and I have a stable lifestyle with them. No, I feel like you should be madly in love with the person that you are wanting to spend the rest of your life with, your partner, your person.
Love ain't enough, baby.
Hey, well.
Love ain't enough. Love can fade. People change.
Sometimes it does.
The person you fell in love with at 25 is not going to be the same person at 50.
In a lot of cases, that's true.
So if the love does not grow, you're going to wake up one day and not like that person. Mm-hmm. But if you allow love to grow, that's where it really lies.
Yes.
That's where it really lies.
What did I tell you the other day?
What did you tell me?
You forgot? I'm going to let you think about that.
That could be anything. You tell me lots of things.
I told you that as the years go on, my love continues to grow for you, and it morphs and it evolves and it keeps growing. You remember I told you that? That is what has to happen in a marriage, because you're not going to be with the same person that you married. You're not the same person that you were in, 2010 when we got married.
But we share our growth spurts with each other. Mm-hmm. I think that's imperative. We talk about the things that are hard, and we talk about where we are now. We check in on a regular basis. Where are you now? I used to be like this. I'm not that way no more. Are you cool with that? Mm-hmm. We just had a conversation like that.
And understanding that these dynamics will change, mm-hmm. and being able to understand that you have to let your partner change and evolve, but communication is the key. You have to talk to them and say, I'm in a different space. Mm-hmm. And, be cool with that, because a lot of times, we had these same conversations where it used to be that you didn't want to do X, Y, Z, or it used to be that you didn't want to go to X, Y, Z. Well, it changed.
Yeah.
Now I do like trying to go to X, Y, Z. Now I do want to do X, Y, Z. It's different. You have to allow your partner to grow. You have to be malleable enough to evolve with your partner and go through those changes. But the best way to handle that is to communicate. When you don't communicate, it's going to break down. And
let the person feel what they feel.
Yeah.
If I'm not cool with the changes that you're making, I have the right to not like those changes.
Yes.
But I'm committed to being here and working this thing out. So now it's my job to figure out how I can adapt who I am to be what you need and to support what you're doing, even if it's not the best idea for me. Because when you get married, it's not just about you. It ain't all about pleasing you. Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and say, well, this is what makes him happy, or this is what makes her happy. Mm-hmm. How can I get closer to where I am, from where I am to where he is? I might not get right there, but I can get close.
You can get close enough.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys, of course, for sticking with us and just sitting here and listening to these conversations that we have, again, right here in the spot where most of these things take place. We talk about them and we say, hey, let's talk about it on the podcast. And that's what you guys see right here. So, of course, I am Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this has been According to Kaz and Queen. And we're going to holler at you guys next time. All right, peace and power.
Peace.